Now I'm going to make some refried beans using pinto beans. And what we do, it's very important to sort through them because there's always either a dirt clod or sometimes rocks. And sometimes I find a bean that I don't like the look of it, so I think if it offends you, just don't use it.
Don't be offended.
So I usually do this a certain way so that maybe you pour about that much.
We're going to help sort.
And I used to work in a little taco shop, and I came in one morning to see that they were doing it this same way. It made me feel good because they were being very careful to not have anything in their beans. And so what I do is I have them to one side of me, and I take a few like this so that you can see, and you look through real carefully, and then you push them to the other side. And
You know, I think the last time I did this, I thought, you know, I bet they do it better now, and you don't have to do this.
yeah, and then you found one.
Well, I started not, and I thought, oh, I'll just sort it one more time. There's a big old rock, so I figured I saved somebody's
And
too.
sometimes there's a lot, but this says this is from Winco, and these are actually very
Pretty clean,
clean.
yeah.
And I haven't found any yet.
Even the beans are not
Yeah, the
shriveled up weird.
beans aren't like half and look old or shrivelly.
Even if you go through every bean and you don't find anything, at least you know you have real clean
Yeah,
beans.
that's right. And there's no rocks or dirt clods. So I'm just gonna put
I
mine
figure
here.
it takes only one rock to chomp down on.
Yeah. Or a big mud ball.
Yeah.
Ugh. Oh, I have one offensive bean.
Yeah, offensive.
Two offensive beans.
Oh, you're easily offended. I don't have any.
But offend you?
Well, we can do a close-up so we can see what you mean by beans that are odd.
Oh, a close up on that. Because
Yeah.
that one looks just a little dirty.
Yeah.
So
And
you
then
don't want that.
I don't like the pieces of bean either.
Yeah. Okay. This does help if you have more than one person doing this.
Yeah, it goes faster.
Because it is a little slow.
So, yeah.
So I was showing my daughter on FaceTime how to do these, and she went through really quickly, and I thought I spotted something in hers because I was watching her. And so I said, you better do it again. I think you'll find something. And she found a little rock. So she realized that she couldn't just go through very quickly.
Although with redoing it, it does go pretty well.
Yeah.
This is how many cups of beans per day?
Oh, this is 6 cups of beans, and it makes quite a bit. I think it makes 9 cups. I think, yeah, that's what it says.
There's 2 beans on the floor. Sorry, Diana.
We'll find them in the middle of the night when we're there for
There's an offensive one.
To be done.
Okay, and we filmed just these odd beans that are,
3.
these are the reject beans.
Okay.
You can see the ones that are split or shriveled funny. I don't see anything wrong with that bean. though.
That was
One
mine.
more good bean.
I'm really gonna say that one. Okay. Okay, so now I have them in a colander. I should get these out of the way. And so I'm going to rinse these beans pretty well. And you rinse quite a bit of the dirt off, but after, we'll be soaking these with a lot of water, and after soaking them for about 6 to 8 hours, we will rinse them again, and then also rinse the pan just to make sure there's no dirt.
You can push that spray tire open the button.
Oh. Oh, what's that? I just kind of filter them. Sure they're- And you can actually tell if you look at the water underneath running out when it's, make sure it's real clear. I'm going to put them right in this pan. And then I will try and trust myself to get it. Okay. Go here. is that behind me? Oh, that is.
I want-
Okay.
It doesn't matter if there's a little bit too much water, you drain them anyway.
Yeah, it could be 1 to 2 inches, because it doesn't matter, you just want to have plenty. Okay. Okay. So see, there's probably, what would you say, 1.5 to 2 inches? Because
About 2
these
inches.
beans, as they soak, it soaks up a lot of the water, and the beans will look a lot thicker. So that will take 6 to 8 hours, and we'll show you what we do when we come back.
Did you say about?
Okay, so we soak these beans either overnight or about 6 to 8 hours, and we're going to put them in the, this is heavy, colander. It has some water left. If you've noticed, the beans are quite a bit bigger than they were. I don't know if you could tell here, then I should have another bean. They're quite a bit bigger, so they have swelled. And then there is still some water. They have taken on most of the water.
They're not cooked, but are they a little softer inside too?
Just a little. The outside, just a little. But you can try to see. Yeah, just a little.
Yeah,
to a touch. Yeah. And this actually fills up the colander more than when I had it before.
When you washed them
Yeah.
originally.
Do you think it's about double in size, or not quite?
Not quite double. So what I do is rinse, another rinse, because just in case, when there's dirt clods in there, when there's rocks, you can get them out, but dirt clods, if they break up, they're still going to be tasting dirty. So I give it another rinse again before I cook it. I just make sure it's pretty good, it feels good. And then I also make sure I rinse the pot that I'm using. This is
Maybe with the water standing in it, it's probably
yeah,
good to wash
it's
off.
probably, yeah. And I didn't show you this, but after they've soaked, you may see a few bubbles on top, and that's okay because that is getting some of the gases the beans have out. So let's see, I need to rinse this.
You can put it down in the sink to
Oh,
pour.
yeah, that's probably
into-
easier.
Oh, you're rinsing that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
just
just rinsing the sink here for the pot.
So it's out of camera range. The washing off the pot, and then she's going to put the now rinsed beans back in the pot after it's rinsed.
So you just want to make sure everything about the beans is going to not ever taste. I don't.
Then you don't worry about spilling.
Much easier. I don't often think of the easy way to do things like you
Well,
do.
both of my sisters have done a stellar job of adapting to a kitchen they don't usually cook in. So I'm having to point out things that I use all the time. I do use the depth of my sink to work on things that otherwise you would be awkward on the counter level, like mixing punch or things of that nature. If the sink is clean, if you use the sink to just do that work down in there, then there's no mess on your counter. Little tip.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I really like how you can
Yeah.
fill the pot.
this way it's very handy. So what we do next is we put quite a bit of water because as they cook, it reduces and it loses the water. So you can actually add water even after they're cooked. Say the next day you think they're a little too thick. It doesn't affect the flavor if you thin them out a little bit.
So are you like covering the...
I'm doing it about like a ½ inch above or so.
I like that you don't have to measure it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, you don't. So it's just, you want to be able to, well, here's a tip. When they're cooking, you want to always be able to see a little water. You won't see this much water, but if you look at the beans, you want to have a little. Because by the time you mix them and mash them, it's going to be the right consistency. Otherwise they get, like, you know, the canned beans are quite thick.
Yes.
And it's hard to spread.
As we
If you
saw
do-
with
yeah.
Randy and Brad's demo.
Yeah. If you do it this way, then they spread real nicely on tortillas. And so next I'm going to add, in the canned beans, most of the canned beans have lard in them to keep the beans from drying out. Well, I didn't really want to put lard in the beans and some of the other things on the cans. So I choose to put a cube of butter in this amount of beans.
Oh, you do it before it's cooked and everything.
Yeah, you just throw that in, and then if you could measure those, Joy.
Yeah.
Okay, then the next thing I'm gonna put is 1.5 teaspoons, and these are just the way I like it with taste, but you can add more. I always feel like it's better to have it not too spicy, and then you can add your own hot sauce. And so I just put this amount.
Here's 1
Okay, that's 1.
and a half.
And I used to always have a pot of these for my kids. I had a lot of kids, and when I had this ready for after school, it could fill them up and hold them for only 2 hours till dinner.
This is 1.5 cumin
Yeah.
powder.
So there's onion powder, cumin powder, chili powder, and salt.
But chili powder is just 1
Chili powder is less because it's very strong.
teaspoon.
And then the salt could use a little more to taste, and so there again, it's to your taste for the salt.
That's
I always thought you had to salt it last because the beans toughen, and that doesn't happen for you.
Well, I've read that several places, but I think it's if you, to make sure, like, you're not really sure if your beans are really old. If your beans are really old, then yeah, you want to do that. You don't want to put so much salt in.
And those beans, I just bought them at
And
Winco
these
last
are very
week.
fresh, yeah.
Yeah.
Be careful to always look at the expiration date on the beans, because I've had some that I cooked for after like 4 or 5 hours when that was double the time, and they didn't even cook.
I had some
That was too old.
They never
That's-
soften.
Yeah, they
So,
don't soften.
Just to make it clear, I did 1.5 teaspoons onion powder, 1.5 teaspoons cumin, 1 teaspoon of chili powder, and 1.5 teaspoons of
Yes, that's
salt.
correct. Okay, so Donna, if you'll hand me the lid, then we put the lid on. This may take up to 2 hours if you want to put that on medium.
Let's see,
It's right here.
Did you say 6?
Yeah, to get it going, even higher to get it going. So what you want to do is get it going and bring it to a boil, and then on medium or medium to low, depending on your stove, just have a gentle boil. And then check it every so often just to see that you can see a little bit of water peeking out of some of the beans. And then after, probably I start testing it after 1.5 hours to see if the fork goes into the beans and they're fork tender. And then we'll show you how to mash the beans in a simple way right in the pot.
I have one question, and this is a good heavy pan. Does it really matter what kind of pan it
No,
is?
in this case it doesn't, because you always have some water in there, so it's not going to stick if you keep
Okay,
some
that
water
is
down at the bottom. Okay, so the beans have cooked for about 1 hour and 15 minutes, and you can see there's quite a bit of liquid, but by the time you, I like them to not be real thick, and once you refrigerate them, they get even thicker, so I kind of keep it on the runnier side.
So this is just, it's not over the beans, but
No.
up to about
Yeah.
a little bit down.
And if you're lower than that, it still works out fine too.
Okay.
So it's not a real.
Can you add liquid if you think it's too dry?
Yes.
So the main thing is make sure that they're boiling at least 1 hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah, this amount took about 1 hour and 15 minutes, yeah. On medium. Okay. So you just. These are, they look ready, but once you refrigerate them, they're really not.
If you refrigerate it and it thickens and then you heat it, does it get runnier
No,
again?
no, it just absorbs.
So you can only, to thin it, you have to add water.
Yeah. Allow them to be spreadable.
Do you get it all smooth or you leave some beans?
No, usually some days. If you notice when you go to a good Mexican restaurant, they have it with some that are all mixed.
I guess that's how you tell if it's homemade.
Maybe so. Get that liquid in there. There we go. There we go, like that.
I
I think immersion blenders are one of the greatest inventions in the kitchen. The old option was to process this in a blender, and you couldn't do the whole batch, and it was just awkward.
Yeah.
For the money, an immersion blender, in my mind, is an essential piece of kitchen equipment.
They're not very expensive.
No.
No, mine is all one piece, but there's, and I've not seen one like this, that this bottom part comes off and you can put it in the dishwasher.
Mine does too.
So that
This
might
is
look that
Cuisinart,
feature.
and it says dishwasher safe parts, not the motor.
No,
So the rest
mine isn't bad, I just rinse it off, but it would be a handy feature. Yummy.
Oh, I think I need spoons.
So you don't put any other spices other than what you already
Yeah,
have?
other. But if you taste it and it's your own batch,
Yeah.
and you want more salt, just stir it right in. Right
Now,
now.
could you use this in Randy and Brad's My Bean Dip?
I don't know if
Can
Randy
you use
allows
these?
Yes, you
it,
could.
I'm sure
but-
beans.
So, okay. Should be
It's
hot
my
anymore.
favorite part.
It's a surprising amount of flavor in it.
I think it needs a little bit more salt.
Right, and that's why.
So you adjust at this
yeah,
point
to
to
your
salt.
taste.
Oh, just a
I
little.
didn't
your
want to
taste.
oversalt it, so.
Yeah, it has to be under.
And so again, homemade, the advantage of home cooked beans, straight from the original hard bean to refried, the flavor is just superior. I don't think it can be topped. So Randy's My Bean Dip would work beautifully, and you could just weigh out the amount that he used for his recipe. Using a household scale, you can do exactly the can ratio to the salsa and other things he puts in.